Welcome to Kansas City Real Talk, brought to you by KCRAR. I'm Bobbi Howe.
I'm Alex Gehring. Bobbi, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing.
You're doing.
I'm doing. That's how I'm doing. I'm doing so well. How are you doing?
My hamstrings are recovering from sitting in the car for a grand total of 44 hours and 8 days.
Ew.
So we did a family road trip. And we just got back here at the end of July, and it was a family reunion road trip. So what we did is we loaded my 3 children into a vehicle, and the vehicle was my dad's vehicle. Okay. I have a great car. I love my car, and it's got this thing called Super Cruise, and it drives itself on the interstate, okay? But it doesn't have an entertainment system in the back for the kids.
Oh.
My wife's vehicle that she primarily drives is a minivan, and it has a great entertainment system, but it doesn't have the Super Cruise, and also it's tight and not a super comfortable drive, just being completely honest.
Okay, so I'm going to have to stop you right here in the middle of your story.
Yeah.
What's the difference between Cruise and Super Cruise?
Super Cruise, it drives itself. It changes lanes for itself. Like it,
very
it does
Tesla.
It's
I only have
great.
one experience with that, and I thought we were going to die. So, okay, continue on. Sorry.
It's great. I mean, it drove itself down I-70 the entire time without me having to touch anything. It was insane. It's fantastic. But anyway, I'm used to that, and it was like, okay, and Dad's vehicle has the Super Cruise, and it's got the entertainment system. And I'm like, and he offered it, and I'm like, yes. You know, of course, so we're doing this caravan. My in-laws are in a minivan behind us, and my brother and sister-in-law and their 3 children are in a minivan behind them. So we're caravanning all the way to Providence, Rhode Island. And of course, along the way, I get questions like, well, so why are you taking this car? What's wrong with your minivan? And I'm going, well, it's got Super Cruise, you know, it's got the Super Cruise, man, you know, it's big. But check it out. Get in real quick. Feel the leg room, you know, and
You're reminding me of the Palisades on Saturday Night Live. So take the 405 to the whatever because it's the
Californians.
The Californians.
Yeah,
Thank you.
There we go. I got
the Palisades, bro. That's what I'm getting the feeling from.
Yeah.
Okay, so people are harassing you over your car.
They are. They're giving me a little
jelly.
Yeah, they're feeling and I'm like, you know, just check it out. And they're like, yeah, I mean it's nice. And then, you know, they get out and we continue on down the road. So we make it to Providence, and there's a chip in the windshield, and I'm like, oh shit. All right, so pardon my language. We're gonna get ready.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh no. So, but it's no big deal. You know, we've got windshield. Dad's got windshield replacement on his insurance policy.
Did you call Safe Flight?
And so we went to Safe Flight, and they got it knocked out. It was no big problem. I pick it up, and about 5 minutes after I pick it up from getting the windshield replaced, I start hearing a whoosh, 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 and it's consistent. And I'm like, oh, that's a belt. I don't love that, you know? And so I make it to the mall where my family was hanging out while I was picking up the vehicle, and then we load everybody back in, and then we have to drive to Massachusetts, which is not far from Providence, to be clear.
Right.
That's where Sarah's cousin is. And on the way, the turns into a it's bad, okay? Like full-on whistle, like the car was sick, okay? So we get to her cousin's house, and then when it's time to leave, I turn it on, and I use the remote start because I wanted to hear the engine, and I'm like, this is bad. So we make it back to Providence, and the next morning, we're on our way to the beach, and I drop it off at a Midas, and it's a Friday, and I'm like, look, just get this thing replaced while we're at the beach. Couldn't get an Uber or a Lyft, so I walked an hour back to the beach. And I was wearing Birkenstocks, and I didn't have any sunscreen. I dropped kids. I dropped everybody off at the beach, went back to Midas, walked back to the beach. My Birkenstocks did not cover my feet. Everything else did okay, but my feet got frickin' fried. Okay?
Don't ask why I just looked under the table at his feet. Don't ask.
I looked under the table to try to look at my feet. Okay, so of course the belt couldn't get installed on Friday. And they're closed on Saturday, or this is on Saturday. They're closed on Sunday. And so on Monday, I had to pick it up. And of course, had to load all of the children, had to go back to my desk, get the car seats, load those car seats into my in-laws' vehicle. And we rode around in my in-laws' vehicle. And of course, I know, nobody did, but I know that my in-laws were making fun of the fact that I borrowed that car and of the Super Cruise, and oh, look at the leg room. And the only reason why I never heard anything, the only reason I know that is because I would have been making fun of me. Like, I would have been making fun of me so hard if the tables were turned. And so anyway, it was an adventure. We got the belt replaced, picked it up on Monday, drove all the way back. Everything was fine. It was a $280 fix. It was no big deal, but it was an event.
So you making noises like that reminded me of a story that I'm going to tell. I still need to process your road trip story because you gave me a heads up you were doing it, but I wasn't prepared for the story to start with my hamstrings hurt. And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, because they do. I sat for 44 hours and my hamstrings are still I'm doing Romanian deadlifts in the gym this morning and like I can't bend over, no bending and snapping for Alex right now.
It's crazy how sore your body can get from sitting.
It's horrible. My Whoop hated me.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
My God.
What? Okay, so question for you: your chronological age on your Whoop. What's your chronological age on your Whoop?
28.
Yeah. You know what mine is?
What is it?
38.9.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
No. It's 10 years younger. So, because I'm 46, so 36.
Nice.
Sorry. 36.7.
I love it.
Yeah.
That thing makes you feel good.
And I was like, oh yeah, I'm 10 years younger than I really am. Okay. So, but you doing the belt noise reminded me. So last week, I've got an agent showing one of my vacant listings. It's actually owned by two realtors who've moved out of town, and they're the sellers for the property. And he wants to know what this thumping sound is in the house. And here he sends me a video of it because we're trying to figure out, like, is it the neighbors across the street? Is it their generator? What? He's like, no, it's too loud. It's coming from inside the house.
Oh my gosh. Whoa.
You know what that is?
It's a broken washing machine that's just on loop.
Nope.
A woodpecker.
It's the attic fan that they turned on but didn't open any windows or doors, so it created suction inside the entire home.
Whoa.
It took us probably a good 30 minutes to figure because he kept saying, it sounds like a water hammer. And I'm like, what? What do you mean a water hammer? And my husband's like, well, we can go over and check all the water and we can do all this and we can do all of that. And then eventually the guy goes, oh, I'm silly. I turned on the attic fan because it was a little musty when I walked in, but I didn't open any windows or doors. It just created a suction vacuum within the house. And then on one of my listings over the weekend, the exact same thing happened again, only the vents came open, and because they didn't open any windows or doors, the vents wouldn't close back up when it was done. And then people are like, why is the attic fan messed up? Because realtors, you cannot turn on an attic fan without having windows or doors open. That's literally what the fan does. It pulls air from the outside, into the inside, swirls it around, and cools it off.
They didn't teach us about attic fans in the Principles of Real Estate course.
Apparently not. Oh.
So our guest today
I'm so excited.
is Michael Pierce.
Good friend.
Great guy.
He's
Great
a broker.
Guy.
He does some things.
Does some things. Past MLS president, past KCRAR president. Been involved with all levels of the association.
Usually dressed in a suit.
At some point. He wears a suit to an almost obnoxious degree. I
went to a Royals game with him in a suit.
It's a
just
little,
to be clear.
I mean, it's now I have seen him in a track suit, but it's still a suit. So I have run into him before wearing a track suit. He was a Jet. But it was still really a suit. And like
Have you seen him in a swimming suit? No, just kidding.
No, I haven't.
I was just trying to think about the kinds of suits.
He's wearing a jacket, like the jacket and the pants matched. Like it was a little like MC Hammer, but without like the bright colors. And like it was really interesting. But it's always a suit. Always a suit. No tie with the track suit.
That's a good start for him.
Yeah. I mean, he's got it figured out.
We should go get him.
We should go get him. I think he's probably waiting. He's a punctual guy.
He's very punctual. He's probably like
he's probably
top.
annoyed with
Come on,
us
guys.
right now.
He's
just wait till he
annoyed with
listens
us.
to this intro
Also,
about him.
You have to join me on my side of the table.
I do. I've got to switch sides.
You do.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Let's go get him
Let's go
and
get
switch.
Michael.
Welcome back to Kansas City Real Talk, brought to you by KCRAR. We are here with our guest, the amazing Michael Pierce. And as predicted, he is suited up, as we all said that he was going to be, drinking a Topo Chico, and he has a Mont Blanc pen with him, everyone.
Oh my gosh.
So I just need you to have the full visual of what's going on here with our guest, Michael Pierce.
The most on-brand person.
Like,
that I
legit.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah. You are consistent. You've got it figured out.
Very descriptive. I feel like I'm there.
You have arrived. You have arrived at your destination. We brought you on today because we're going to talk a little bit about work-life balance and avoiding burnout as a real estate professional. And it's been a while since we had you on the show. I believe you were HMLS president at that time.
KCRAR president.
KCRAR.
2022.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, that's
I was
right.
on in 2020.
2020 was HMLS because we were co-presidents across there doing that COVID thing together. Tell us everything that's changed and happened in your life since all of that. We're here for the next 7 years, everyone.
Well, I just business as usual, just continuing to try to learn and grow. Nothing abnormal, I don't think.
Talk about Jet a little bit.
Growing the company.
Yeah.
Jet, my son, who's 18, will be starting in KU in a week, which is crazy because I swear just 2 weeks ago he was 1.5 feet tall.
I still remember the videos of him in your back seat jamming out to some Beastie Boys. Like that's like one of my favorite Jet memories. It's just Jet busting out some Beastie Boys. He was singing along, having a good old time.
Yes, I feel like that was not that long ago.
It was like yesterday.
It clearly is a lot longer than I remembered.
Is he going to get his real estate license?
No, he's not, and I'm kind of glad about that. Not to knock our own industry, but he for a long time would say, "Oh, I want to be a real estate broker," and I feel like he was just doing that because he wanted to be like Dad or fill in my shoes. But now has his own goals and his own plans, his own autonomy, and I really think that's healthy for him.
Yeah. What does he want to do?
Business.
Okay.
Business.
Yes.
Business.
Whatever that is.
Whatever that is.
A real estate broker, it sounds like.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I have a business degree. That didn't really. But so, forecasting on the next episode, we're going to talk about whether our children want to get into real estate or not, and how our feelings are. So you fit right in perfectly, just so you know.
Well, thank you. Yes, I'd support him, of course, if
Yes.
he decided that. But ultimately, I didn't want him to make a decision based on what he saw and what he was used to and comfortable with. I want him to expand beyond Dad's shoes, if possible.
Of course. You know, when I was, this is really not very on topic, but my parents were both in education, and I thought that I wanted to be in education as well. And they told me no. And I kind of got the vibe that they would not support me if I chose to get into education. But both of them, who are in school administration, they were in school administration. No, you're not going to do it. So
You're aware that you are kind of in education now in your role.
exactly.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking.
And I like it a lot better than I probably would have liked teaching kids music, which is what I thought I wanted to do, was music ed. Could you imagine me as a band teacher?
I could, yes.
Yes.
I could.
Yeah.
Shoot.
You're
Darn
just
it.
in
All right.
for-profit education now. That's the difference.
No, you would be the teacher for the theater division and the musicals and all of that, not necessarily band.
Yeah, I would have liked that. That would have been okay.
Yeah.
That would have been okay.
I can do that. Mm-hmm.
Michael, I want to ask you a question,
Absolutely.
which is good because it's kind of my
That's
role
what we're doing.
as part of the deal. So for the longest time, you were not on social media, or you were on social media very rarely. Now, before that, you had a thriving Overland Parker Twitter account that people, when I run into people at NAR and they ask if I know Michael Pierce, I'm like, yeah, I know Michael Pierce. Yeah, whatever, he's fine. And then they'd be like, his Overland Parker account, the dude's one of the funniest people that I know. You know, and so it was there and big for a long time. And then you didn't do anything for a long time in social media. Now you're back on social media.
I'm back.
But I want to know about that hiatus.
Well, that's a great question. It was almost 10-year hiatus, 8 or 9 years, something like that. But I used social media to grow my business and grow my book of business. And eventually I felt as though that was the only thing I was doing to grow my business, and it was actually becoming, in my perspective, limited because I just relied on that so heavily for my exposure that I wasn't sharpening my skills outside of social media. And so I hired a business coach at that point. They didn't direct me to do this. At that same time, I completely got off social media. I took the apps off my phone and everything. And then I spent about 8 or 9 years educating myself. I mean, when you're not on social media, you have a lot more time on your hands. So I spent a lot of time educating myself, learning, and trying to grow personally and professionally. And then now I felt like it was a time where I could come back in a more limited sense and get my message out there and just kind of share a little bit. I feel as though now I'm at a point in my life where contribution to others is really part of my life's work. And social media allows me the ability to contribute to others, which when I was not on social media, it was a little more limited access, obviously.
Can you give us an example of something that you were focused on? What was skill sets that you were focused on sharpening while you were on that hiatus?
It's a great question. Obviously, everything in our industry. So objection handling, communication, all of those sorts of things. But the real change to me was learning more about myself, finding my own limitations and being able to try to break through from those limitations and become the person that I consider myself to be now, which I am proud of who I am.
Oh, I love that. And honestly, I love having you back. Like the first day I saw you back, I was like, oh, Michael's back. And then you consistently have stayed back. So it's lovely having you back. But I'm also so thankful that you found yourself, because that's one of the greatest gifts we can do in this world, is truly figure out who we are. And I feel like that's actually a part of what I was talking to you about. Is like, I feel like I've finally figured that out. Also, just noticed he has a Louis Vuitton tie clip.
No, he's always got that too.
I know. I was like, but it's adding to the visual for everyone here of how nice Michael looks. You and I have known each other for about 15 years. We go back to the beginning of the KCRAR YPN in 2009, 2010, whenever that was. You've had a lot of career changes since then. Talk to us about some of those, where you were back then and where you've grown and changed, because you're doing amazing. And I love watching and seeing your success, because now you're building up other people to essentially follow in footsteps, that you're creating a path. So talk to us a little bit about the changes you've gone through in your career over those 15 years.
Sure, that's a great question.
You were an employee of KCRAR at one point.
A consultant. Yes.
Consultant, sorry.
Yes. Yeah, so the Overland Parker moniker, it became something of its own self outside of Michael Pierce. And I started to feel as though I needed to, like you had said, when people meet you and they say, oh, he's the funniest guy ever, I felt as though I was almost needing to perform at that point.
What, am I, a clown to you?
Yes, exactly, just like that. So over time, as I got rid of, I've been in the same career the entire time. If you look in my high school yearbook, it says, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, a real estate agent, or in real estate. So it's been the same career path. It's just the way that I have adopted my habits and my beliefs and perspective has drastically changed. So I was a selling agent, and I did that for about 12 years, just selling. And I did consulting for KCRAR and Heartland MLS, which basically came because I was doing speaking engagements. I started Recharge. Before that, I started RE Bar Camp with a group of other individuals. And I was doing some education, and that is what exposed me to the consulting world. I started to do consulting while selling. I would go to brokerages. I think I've been to offices that you used to run.
Yeah.
And I would teach different offices. I would bring in new technologies. I was doing a lot of consulting. And really honestly, all of that was for myself. It was I wanted to pad my pockets. I'm not in like a malice way, but as I look back, I was so focused on growth. I was so focused on pushing harder and setting goals, and every day, like I'm on the phone at 8 a.m. And over time, as I started to look around at the success that I was fortunate enough to find myself in, I started to see how selfish, in a way, I was in my career. And that is what expanded me to who I became now. I started my own brokerage, and it was still, we're going to, every morning at 8 o'clock, we're getting on the phones. And we still do that depending on the needs of people. But I stopped being so focused on making myself feel important, which takes force and takes matter. And I started to focus on energy. And my now my perspective is the more I can contribute to others legitimately, I don't have to worry about the return effect. It will return to me. So it isn't me just constantly looking at a number metric saying, I need to grow to this, I need to grow to this. It is, what can I do to maximize my experience to help contribute to others? And in doing so, it does lift my boat as well, both mentally and in any other way that I may not even see if I was just focused on my goals like I used to be.
Yeah, I love that. And it is so true that the more that you lean in and give to others, the more you just automatically, for the most part, if you're leaning into the right people, the more you get back and that you grow through others. And that's one of the, the concepts that I love is growing my world so large that other people's worlds can still contained within my world so they don't feel the need to go somewhere else. But if I don't grow my world large enough and theirs gets bigger, I'm going to lose them as potentially amazing talent or people that I want in my world. So I got to keep growing so that we can all fit together.
Michael, I feel I can see the mindset change there, but I'm still wanting to understand more about how that changes the way that you perform. So teaching, right, for selfish reasons, to pad your pocket, consulting to pad your pocket, those things, you still do some of that work. You still teach, you still coach, right? You're still helping people and building them up with a different mindset. But how does that mindset shift the way that you're performing and the way that other people experience you?
Sure, that's a great example. And I live in the present moment now. So and what I mean by that is for a lot of my career, I was always focused on the future. My goals were paramount to what I currently had. So when I had 10 agents at my office, people would say, wow, you have 10 agents already. That's so great. I would think, why don't I have 100? When I had 25 agents, no matter the volume I was doing, no matter at any point in my career, I was constantly, to outsiders, they may say, wow, that's great. To me, inside of me, I was only always focused on the future, my next goal.
What's
wait
next?
till I'll have next year. And what I found is I wasn't really ever satisfied. I was never satisfied. I was always looking to the future. And now I'm just living in this moment. So like right now, I'm not focused on my goals. I'm focused on what can I do to contribute and say something that might contribute to others. And in doing so, it makes me really embrace the moment that I'm currently in and not be unsatisfied with feeling unfulfilled, which I feel through the consulting I do or the coaching I do with agents. I do feel a lot of people in our industry, because of the nature of sales, it's good to have goals and it's good to set a destination you want to be, but we're often looking at things outside of ourselves. Like if I had this amount of sales, then I'd be important because I'd have this car or I'd have this house. And I think we're constantly chasing in this industry and not actually appreciating who we are currently and what we've already accomplished. So the shift in my perspective has certainly changed my happiness inside of myself. People that like Bobbi that have known me for years will likely say, you're the same guy that I knew 20 years ago, but inside of myself is completely different. And by not having to worry about the future, I can give you the time I need, that you need. I can really be here in this moment, and I can focus on my needs at the same time. So it's just a complete shift from always chasing and feeling as though I'm not good enough where I currently am, to being completely content with who I am and where I am, and that allows me to maximize what I have learned to contribute to other people.
I assume that that's still something that you're able to turn on, that future thinking and thinking about, what's going to be going on in a year or so. You're currently writing a book, right?
Yes.
And obviously you got to you got to think about the end of the book at some point, and the future of the publishing of that book. First of all, we should probably talk about the book. You're writing a book.
I'm writing a book, yes.
Yeah, we didn't mention that part. And what's that process been like?
Well, I'm writing 2 books.
Of course you are.
One, and it's just how it happened because I wanted everything in one book, and it's about my life story and how I came to be where I am today. But sales is what I'm really known for, so I wanted to remove that sales balance piece of it, and I wanted to have a separate book for that. So the working title of my sales book is Selling from Within. I don't know that is what it will be actually titled, but it's interesting because those are just tasks. So it's not, I'll be important if this book is launched. I'll be important if this book makes this amount of sales. It's none of that. It's just what I used to do is think, if I accomplish this, then I'll become something. But now I understand that if I become something, then I will accomplish what I want. So that's the difference. This book I'm writing because I'm a person that I become something that writes this book, and the success of it is not tied to who I will become when it is released.
It's separate.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's something that you're enjoying doing, I assume.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And so it's good to have goals. It's good to say, yes, in the morning I want an hour to write or whatever it is. I still have goals. I still am doing those things, but it's not focused on that changing who I am. It's me focused on learning and growing as an individual. And once you become the individual that you want to be, then all of the things outside of you will return to you. You are the environment that we look at outside of us is a mirror of ourselves and a mirror of our own perspectives.
This is the intention behind the task.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot more, to your point about work-life balance, it's a lot less stressful. There's nothing that you need to be stressed about, because stress is just a worry of something in the future that hasn't happened yet, and now to prevent that worry, you worry about it now. So you create that worry that you're trying to avoid. And the reason you're wanting to avoid it is because you're focused on the past and how that hurt you in the past. So if you remove all of that, then anything can come to you throughout the day, and you can just focus on that and understand that anything that comes to me, I'll solve that problem. If there's a decision to be made, I'll decide that, and then I move forward with the things I want to do in my day and want to do in my life, and I prioritize that over what it might look like in the future.
One of my very favorite quotes, and you just danced around it, is worry is interest paid on a debt that may never become due.
That's great.
Because how often do we spend time worrying about something that never actually happens, or when it does happen, not to the degree that we thought it was, but we're already paying interest now for something that is way off in the future, and just stop. One of the concepts you talked about was being present. And I think that's something that in the last even just 2 months for me, I'm discovering a way to be present. Because I wasn't present in my family's life. I wasn't present in those around me. I was always, like you, in the future, what's coming next, what's going next, what's that going to look like, as opposed to even in the evenings, just taking 30 minutes to stop playing on my phone, to just watch whatever's actually on the TV and be present for that moment of 30 minutes of understanding what we're going through. And we've been kind of talking around this, but has there been a time in your life where you became completely overwhelmed and started to feel the burnout of this industry coming at you, which I'm assuming is some of the changes you've made? How did you overcome that? How did you address that? And how do you take specific actions now to make sure that you don't get fed back into that vicious cycle that we seem to find in this industry?
Sure. That's a great question. And it is always a process or a work in progress. There's never a finished destination. So it is easy for you to have a certain type of week you're not in control of your environment. Yep. You are in control of how you react to your environment, but it's very easy to find yourself on a Friday looking back at your week and thinking, wow, that was chaotic. It's just, that is life. Life is chaos. You should expect that. But scheduling is really important. All those stresses I had were self-induced. No one else was making me. Why did I book a 9 o'clock appointment and then a 10 o'clock and then an 11 and then a 12:30? Why did I do that?
Right.
Because I wasn't good enough. And the only way I could be good enough is to hustle. But what I found in hustle culture, which I was very much a part of, is that you're constantly chasing, like we talked about, and you're never satisfied, and you're always thinking about the future, distracted. You're never present, and you're never at peace. You're just constantly chasing. So the hustle culture was actually an avoidance. It was to avoid the things about yourself that you're unsatisfied with. And so when you see people that are saying, oh yeah, I do, and I'm not being critical. Everyone can do whatever they want. But a lot of this is basically in hustle culture in our industry or prideful of being, I was so swamped all week, is because they're actually avoiding things within inside themselves that they don't want to face. And if you face those things and learn to accept them and understand where they come from, then you don't have to worry and you don't have to be stressed and you don't have to hustle. Rather than have 8 appointments in a day with 8 different clients, you can have 4. And that's still a very successful life, and you can space between them because you do need time to catch up. So checking your email all the time, checking social media. If you go into your settings on your app or on your phone and look at how long you spend on social media, there's hours and hours. If you remove those hours, you'll have plenty of more time to take care of things that you are letting fall to the wayside. But it's the disappointment in yourself that causes you to want to run away from that. And how we run away from that in sales is by hustle culture, constantly being booked. If we're constantly running, then we're a success, and we don't have to look at the things that make us feel unsuccessful within ourselves.
This is so zen. I'm
It
just
is.
having like a moment.
Well, you're obviously so thoughtful about a lot of this, and I'm curious, did you just realize that you needed to take time to learn these things, or was there something that triggered you to realize that you needed to take some more time to be introspective on these things and figure out a different approach to your business and life?
Well, that's a great question. I felt as though I got to a point I was just constantly unsatisfied. I just was never happy. Happiness was, I would be happy thinking about what's coming next. That was my happiness. And I just got to a point where I was looking around at all the things I had accomplished, and I didn't even see myself for who I was. Because if I would just look at what I accomplished, I would be so proud of myself. But I couldn't be proud of myself because I was constantly worried about what I wasn't instead of what I was. And we have a lot of comparison in sales. So you're always like, oh, yeah, but so-and-so down the street is doing this, and I'm not doing that, so I have a lot of catching up to do. It's just a constant spiraling, and I got to the point where I was tired of always being tired. I was always tired physically, or I was always tired mentally. And so I just started to read more and more and more until I started to understand myself better. And I'm still in that process, but now I feel as though I'm doing much more than I ever did before, because previously I was trying to push. I was trying to push to get what I wanted, and now I'm just trying to be to get what I want. And I don't really have those desires. I allow them to come to me. I think, well, this agent in my company isn't doing as well as they would like, or they seem really unhappy. Let me take the time to go sit down and reach out to them and do a coaching session with them just because it seems like the right thing to do. And just by focusing on that, it makes me feel like my purpose is more contribution-based, and I feel more important in my role of life. And that is the big shift for me.
Is there something that you feel like you were missing before?
Acceptance of myself.
Acceptance of yourself.
Yes.
That's huge.
I think in real estate, some of the top producers are constantly not proud of themselves. They don't find acceptance. And we believe that something outside of us, volume, money, status, all of that will solve that. If I just do this, if I just get there, then I'll be satisfied. But we're constantly chasing and left undesirable to ourselves.
One of the things that I grew up with was my parents made it to every single performance that I ever had. And they were extremely busy people. My dad had to be at every basketball game, every wrestling meet, everything for the school. And he made it to every single thing that I ever did. He never missed anything, and he still never misses anything. It's insane to me. I find it very difficult. I don't have things to miss just yet. We're not quite at that age. I find it very difficult to live up to that expectation that my dad put in me. And the expectation isn't money or anything else. It's to make sure that I make it to everything. And I feel like it's possible, especially with three of them. I'm gonna miss. I'm gonna miss stuff. It's just gonna happen. That's 2 times. I'm gonna miss things, and that's I struggle with that.
Well, I completely can relate to that. My son is 18 now, and as we mentioned, and looking back, I think, where did all of those years go? And so much of it was spent just so hyper-focused on becoming the important sales broker or salesperson that does X amount of business or that accomplished this. It's not that I was neglectful to my son. We've always had a great relationship, but so much of my priority in my mind was focused on that.
Yeah.
Even my own friendships. Bobbi is my friend. Alex is my friend. There were years where we wouldn't talk because it's not that I didn't care, but I was just so hyper-focused on what I wanted in life. Right. And now by working on your schedule, working on your mindset, ensuring that you're giving back to your community, doing all of those sorts of things, then you start to prioritize the things that are really important to you. Your friends, your family, you put those on a higher pedestal, and in doing so, you feel as though you are more fulfilled. So you don't need some of the, that one extra sale. If you did 50 sales, if you just did 51, would it make you that much more important? No. Imagine all that time that you would have saved and could contribute to your family and being there for the people that love you.
Michael, we're coming up to the end of our time, and we want to be respectful of the time that we've asked of you. And I'm going to ask this question for one last time. What else? What else should we have asked you? What else did our listeners know? What else do you just want to share about your journey that you've been on that is just, I'm very proud of you. I don't know how else to say it other than I'm just really proud of you. It's really good seeing you, and you just look like a weight's off your shoulders.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I think it's understanding that you can find success in real estate and you can find success in sales while also being good enough presently. And so it's healthy to say, you know what, I'd like to take my family on a nice vacation and it's going to be $10,000, so that's another sale, and here's how I'm going to get that done. That's all fine. Attach yourself to the process, don't attach yourself to the outcome. And understand that outcome doesn't change who you are intrinsically. Who you are intrinsically is just as important and just as valuable to the people that are important to you if you did 51 sales or if you did 25 sales or if you decided to do 5 sales. All of that doesn't matter. You have to look at yourself and understand what is most important to me in this life, prioritize that, and the more you do that, I have found, the more success you will find outside of yourself.
It's awesome. Thank you for your time today. I'm so very, very blessed for you to be here and to be one of the last guests while I'm still co-host, but you'll know what that is on the next episode. You'll understand. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael.